What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mike It Yourself. In this week's video, we're going to swap out the air compressor on the Road King. Damn it! So here's the deal, folks. About a week ago, I went to operate my Air Ride, and when I hit the air down button, it depleted. So that's the bleed off valve or whatever, and that's powered. The other part that's powered is your compressor. And so on this, as soon as I hit the button to trigger it so I can get some air pressure into my shocks, nothing happened and I blew my fuse. So swap the fuse out, blew it again. Swap the fuse out, blew it again. So obviously something was going on just with the compressor side. So trying to figure out what it was. I thought maybe something had shorted up here, and that wasn't the case. So I removed it and hooked it up directly to a battery, just kind of touched it to see if it would do anything, any action out of it, and nothing. So what I did is I went ahead and I took apart the area here. This is where your armature is, because I wanted to just kind of take a look at it to see if I saw anything that was obvious to me. My thought was maybe something got pinched here or whatever. And what I found is condensation, moisture had made its way into this area and started to rust in there, causing the armature to lock. And because it wouldn't spin, of course, now it's drawing that current, and that's what was popping my fuses. That's also important to recognize why you need to put a fuse into your system, because if you didn't have that, it would essentially continue to draw as you push that button, and as it heats up, then your wire would fry. In best circumstance, it would just, your wire would snap, right? Because it burned too much. Worst case scenario, you end up with your bike on fire, so that ain't good, right? So anyhow, what I'm going to do is, in this kit that I got, and I got this kit from, I think it's called Empire Cycle, and I believe they stated that this was a VIAIR compressor. So I just went ahead, I went on Amazon, and I found a VIAIR compressor to replace it with. This is the 97C. They make different models that look like this. In fact, one of them actually has the little clamp like this, and I figured all I needed was the unit, so that's what the 97C looks like. Now, I'm going to do a comparison because, like I said, if I remember reading correctly, it stated that this was a VIAIR, but when I look at this one, and I'll pull out and show you, there's a label on this one that shows it's VIAIR, and this one doesn't look like it has a label. So I'm curious to see if there is a difference in performance. We're going to have to do some swapping over of parts, so like this little fitting here, we're going to have to put on there. And then basically reconnect the wires. That's pretty simple. The other thing I'm going to do to try to prevent the same problem from occurring again, because these aren't waterproof, we'll say they're water resistant. In fact, I think in the instructions it just says do not operate essentially underwater, but I mean, I would imagine that goes for like rain and all that stuff too. So we're going to add a little silicone to this area because there's just a little rubber grommet that the wires pass through, so it's completely open, and that would allow for moisture to get up in there. So we're going to just add a little bit of silicone there, sealant, and then same thing with these little mating surfaces, because they're not vented or anything. It's not like it needs to breathe. So we'll just throw that around just to help prevent it from happening again, or at least slow that process down. So let me go ahead and take this one off. Well, actually, let's run a test real quick. Let's see how quickly it takes for this one to raise the bike up, and then we'll compare that to the actual VIAIR and see. We'll see if it's legit. Like, is this truly a VIAIR, or is this a knockoff and maybe it's a like VIAIR? So we've got all of the air out of the system. Nothing's coming out. So we're gonna lift this until it stops raising the bike. So let's see how long it takes before it hits max extension of the shock. Okay, so from 0 to max extension of the shock, no weight added, it took 19.62 seconds to get to full extension. So let's remember that number, and we'll compare it to the real VIAIR once we get this thing swapped out. We've got the compressor pulled out. I've got to do some cleanup on this thing. You can see like that moisture getting in between the metal, and it just sits there, so it's eating away. I want to clean that up and probably just throw a couple of sprays of some primer on there just to help protect that inner surface. I mean, it won't hurt. I may even just paint the outside too, I'm not sure yet. But ultimately, and then we can put it back together, you know, that is kind of how much moisture is getting here. And if you look here, you can see in the rubber grommet that you know, it doesn't provide any kind of protection against sealant or moisture getting in there. So if it wants to, it can get right inside. So we know the piston area, this is sealed well, because if it wasn't, it would leak air. We didn't have any air leaking problems. We just had moisture getting into the armature area. So we'll want to seal using some industrial grade sealant, the butting here, and then the hole. So that's what we're going to do on that one, just to add a layer of protection, right? And you don't even have to do much. It's just a little quick coating. You just want to get it into the crevice, right? But in comparison, if you notice, there's no sticker on this. There's one on this one. This one says VIAIR. It's stamped. There's no stamping there. So I'm very confident in saying that this is probably not a VIAIR compressor. And I wanted to check back, because this was a kit that I, you know, said it was a great kit, and it works really, really well. But if you look at the images, can't really, I don't know if you could tell, but you see the label there. So they're depicting a VIAIR compressor. So if you look, you can see the label on the cylinder there. If we look on this picture of it being on the bike, let's see if I can get a good shot. It's kind of hard, but there is a label being shown there. Let's see if we can do it this way here. There we go. So in their selling photos, they're depicting a compressor that should be a VIAIR compressor, and it doesn't seem like it's the case. So hey man, beware. The kit is cheap, and I mean, honestly, I think the kit was like 250 bucks. You pay about 100 bucks, 110 just for this alone. So when you get the kit, you get the shocks, you get the compressor, you get the mounting bracket, you're getting the bleed off valve. So you get a lot for a pretty decent price. So if they skimped on this, then that's why it's such an affordable kit. Nonetheless, buyer beware. I'm not going to knock them. They're trying to make an affordable kit. I bought an affordable kit, and you know, it's just design, right? Looking at the design of the VIAIR, it's got the same thing where moisture can easily get in there. So you know, whoever made that one, it's not like it's far off from the actual VIAIR itself. So I expect a little bit better performance out of this, just because it's, you know, it's the name brand. We'll see how it goes in this particular case. Feels about the same. I mean, I don't know. So let's see. Let me go ahead and do those little touches, and we'll get to installing. All right guys, so I went ahead and painted up my metal here. Just again, I'm just putting some quick paint on there just to protect it. It's hidden behind the saddlebag, so I don't care if the paint does not look good on it. It's just to try to help prevent a little bit of corrosion, right? So maybe one day it'll bother me and I'll take it off and do a nice job painting it, but I just kind of threw some paint really quick. So now we just got to put this on. When you slide your here, or at least when I was taking it off, what I found is you need to make sure that you rotate it so that way your wires go through there, because it's a pretty slim fit there. So then we just put our pinch bolt in, bolt it all up, throw it back on the bike. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll get this kit going, and then we'll get back to you on the bike. Plates installed, compressors installed. I've already got the coupler in there, and I put some new Teflon tape on there. These are those push-pull ones, so that should be good to go there. I will still use some soapy water just to make sure I don't get any leaks there, because when they happen, this is usually where they happen at. So you just want to make sure you got it nice and taut. And then ground it out here on the bolt. So my actual ground is sitting in between a washer and the bolt, so it's not on the painted surface, because that's not going to give you a really good ground. And then for the positive wire, I already had the other one ran, so I've got a termination that's in here, my loom, so I just got to string it up and then zip tie it, so that way the loom stays over the bare wire. And we'll be able to do a quick test, so we'll do another time test and see how it looks. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. It's installed. I just have to do some fine buttoning, not a big deal, but it's connected, and we should be able to put some pressure on it. So if you remember, last time we ran 1962. Let's see how we compare. So 1962. All right, so this one was not much faster. Tenths of a second, right? So 1929 compared to 1962. So performance-wise, I didn't gain anything, really. Okay guys, so there you go. Swapped out that unit and it's working fine. It's a tad bit quieter than the original, but not, again, not like where you're like, ooh, this is an amazing one. The speed of it, it's negligible. Like within tenths of seconds, like it could be, you know, as simple as just my touching of the start and stop function. So I won't say that it had an edge over there. So really the point of this video is, one, that equipment that I bought initially has failed. I was able to repair it, but it failed regardless. Two, I question the quality, or I shouldn't say the quality, how genuine it is that it's actually a VIAIR compressor. So I'm a little concerned there. And then if you recall, if you've been following me, I had my initial set of air shocks, one of the seals blew, and I was questioning whether or not I should even continue with an Air Ride. And I went ahead and bought my own set of Monroe air shocks online. So now I've had, out of that original kit, the air shock itself go bad, and now the compressor, and of course that was due to humidity. I was able to repair it, but regardless it goes bad. So the kit that I originally promoted, although very, very inexpensive compared to other kits, I would say have expectation that you're probably going to have to replace parts within a year to 2 years. So $250 for 2 years, you're looking at about $125 a year to have an Air Ride, based on you know, if you had to kind of replace it or whatever after 2 years. You know, is that worth it to you? If it is, hey, you know, again, sometimes it's just based on our budget, what we can afford, and if that's all we, you know, what our budget has room for, cool, man. Get your ride, enjoy it. When it breaks, fix it. Not a big deal. At the same time, if you're looking for putting in an additional cost, or, you know, budgeting more money for something that might last you longer, and I don't know, you know, guys with the legendary setups or the dirty air setups, chime in if you have it. Let us know. Like, I've had mine for 20 years and never had a problem. If that's the deal, cool. I'd love to hear it. And if that's the case, then maybe, you know, $1,000 or whatever it costs for that kit, maybe it's worthwhile, right? Again, you're averaging out to $100 a year. So love to hear your input. Let us know. In the meantime, I'll let this VIAIR thing kind of burn and see how it goes for about a month or so, and then I'll bring it back. I'll let you know. I mean, if it seems to start to degrade or anything, right? Only time will tell, man. So until that next video does post, I hope to see you in the wind.